Welcome, Patriot fans and DBU family, to the second edition of Patriot Conversations, brought to you by Raising Cane's. Today, we are joined with Kelsey Bruce, DBU assistant cross country and track and field coach, and also one of our distinguished alumni. Kelsey, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Connor. I'm super excited to do this, especially after Remy did such a good job last time. Tough act to follow.
That was a fun conversation with Remy Jai, and I've been really looking forward to this conversation as well. Kelsey, go ahead and tell us where you're calling in from today and kind of what you've been up to over the last couple of months.
Yeah, I'm calling in from Flagstaff, Arizona, where I'm working remotely and training as well. Pretty much have been, before this, at home, very socially isolated in Bracketville, where my family lives, and just trying to keep up with everything and keep our athletes excited and motivated to continue to go forward and work with our incoming athletes as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I know Flagstaff, Arizona, where you're at, is great training grounds for running and all that you have going with your professional running career. And we'll get to that here in just a moment. You've got a remarkable story. Being from Bracketville, Texas, small town Texas, as you mentioned, recruited to run for head coach Jacob Phillips here at DBU. But just for our listeners, some of the accolades with Kelsey as being one of the most distinguished and decorated student athletes that we've ever had here at DBU. She's a four-time All-American in cross country, finished fourth place at the NCAA Division II cross country championships in her senior year. Track and field, she was a two-time All-American, qualified for the NCAA championships on three different occasions in the 3,000-meter steeplechase. And she reached the national championships in both 14 and 15 in the indoor 5,000-meter steeplechase. And so just a remarkable career as a student athlete at DBU. You were a remarkable student in the classroom, achieving nearly a 4.0, if I remember correctly, in some of those semesters. And so just a model student athlete for DBU. And so thankful to have Kelsey as a full-time staff member now and coach, mentoring and leading and discipling our student athletes within the cross country and track and field programs. And how about that, coming to DBU to learn from somebody who is also one of the top-ranked female runners in the United States. And so, Kelsey, tell us a little bit about what you've got going on now with your professional running career, and maybe share a little bit about some of the championships and trials that you've been a part of over the last year.
Yeah, so at DBU, I came to DBU because Coach Phillips was really excited about the prospect of going to nationals as a team. And being competitive at nationals as a team. And that was really attractive to me because, you know, it's kind of about more than just you and what you're doing. And it's a lot more fun when you share it with other people. And so that excitement and that passion was what really initially attracted me to DBU, and then came because of the faith aspect side. I thought that was something that I needed to invest in that I hadn't really invested in much prior to it. And so competed at the national championships, as you said, which kind of slowly worked up each year. I think Coach Phillips's training did a really good job and kind of just chipped away at the wood or the rock, and eventually kind of made some big jumps by the end of it. And a lot of that's due to my support at DBU and Coach Phillips. But after my last season at DBU as a fifth year, I did 4.5 seasons. And 2 weeks after, I think, the national championships, 2 or 3 weeks after, Coach Phillips was like, you should sign up for a half marathon and try to qualify for the trials. Why not? You're in shape. I was like, that doesn't sound like super fun to run 13 miles because the pace that I had to run to qualify at the time seemed so overwhelming. But I trusted him and did what he says I always try to do, and qualified for Olympic trials in a couple weeks after the best race of my life at cross country nationals. And then so ran a marathon that February in 2016 for the trials for the marathon. And wow, that was really hard. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. When I ran it, I had because I'd only really had a couple months to train because I qualified in December and then the marathon was in February. And I'd actually been hurt a little bit between those two, but we said it's the Olympic trials, we're going to go and we're going to run and we're going to try it. And in the race, I thought, man, this is so dumb. Like, why do people run this? Because it was hot in LA, and I was very, very young at the time and very inexperienced at what I was doing. But something about the marathon makes you come back. You're like, well, I've got to do it. You've got to accomplish it. And then once you accomplish it, you want to do it again. It's an kind of addictive thing. But just ran the trials in 2020. I remember after 2016 trials, Coach Phillips was like, so 2020, you'll be 27, and then 2024, you'll be 31, and that's peak age for marathon. I remember being like, whoa, like, no, I can't think that far ahead, but was 21st in February at the trials in 2020. Was hoping for a little better, but I was really proud of my progress in it, and I think I competed well, and lots of learning. But the thing with the marathon, they say you've got to work hard and then do that for 10 more years, and then you see your results, which is kind of a little bit intimidating to think about. But it's been a cool process to share that with the team and train with them in the way.
That's amazing. And you competed overseas as well, in Qatar. I think they pronounce it a little bit differently over there, but it's been really neat. I got to watch you on TV in that event in February. And so, a lot of us at DBU have kind of lived vicariously through the success that you've had. And I'm not a runner myself, so I oftentimes chuckle at the conversations we have where, you say, I just ran 15 miles today. And so we're so proud of you and the success that you've had in your professional running career, but that all goes back to your character and who you are. And, the Lord kind of working in and through you, whether that's through your time here at DBU, as your time growing up as a kid. Switching gears a little bit, kind of just talk about your experience at DBU and the impact that DBU had on your life and those at DBU as well.
Yeah, so as I said, I chose it. Initially, I was interested because of Coach Phillips. And then when I visited the campus, I remember just kind of being, I guess, a little bit convicted that I hadn't really developed my faith a whole lot. I hadn't made a big investment in that. I believed in, it was something I was excited about, but I wasn't truly invested. And then coming to DBU, how it's just, you are developing it in a very, I guess, organic way. I hate to use that word because it's a little bit, I don't know, but you are just surrounded by so many great people. And as Remy mentioned in his interview with you, that it's in ways that you don't even realize until after, and just the investments that people are making in you and the people that you get to see their example and how to live in a Christ-like way. And we know that only Christ changes hearts. And I think DBU is a big facilitator of that. And just how it's taught me to, follow him, but also how to do that in day to day, to do it in what I'm aspiring to do in my life. And it's kind of really adjusted the path of my whole life. And I think that choosing DBU is the best choice that I've ever made, which was really tough when I was in high school. It was a tough choice, but my friendships that I've got now, my job, I love my job. I'm still getting to run. It's just really fills my heart up a whole lot. And I'm really proud of DBU, which is why I've chosen to stick around. I want people to have that same experience that I did. And I want to give back to that community that has helped build me and invest in me. And I want to do that for our incoming student athletes and the students I teach in class and everything else.
Yeah, well, it's remarkable, and you're certainly doing that. What you just mentioned, you're doing that, and it's neat to witness that and observe that and see that from afar with your student athletes, and really just the joy that you are to be around here at DBU, and that's contagious. And I know that that's your positivity, your perseverance, your joy has probably also transitioned and helped you in your running and your faith. So let's talk about that. Running is such a a metaphor to life and the challenges and the obstacles and the adversities, much like we're facing now through COVID, and other events that have transpired over the last week and a half. But talk about that running, and just that challenge that it brings, and how that's able to not only equip you personally for your future, but how y'all use running to teach lessons to student athletes.
Yeah, I love running so much. And as you know, in the office, I'm always trying to get people to run a half marathon or a marathon or go try a 5K, just because I know that just what comes along with running, I think it parallels our faith a whole lot, and just the disciplines that it teaches you, and pretty therapeutic, honestly. It just kind of releases you from a lot. You will have a problem, and then you'll go run and be like, oh, it's not that bad. It just kind of releases that a little bit. But it's, like I said before, it's such a, particularly distance running, it builds on each other year to year. And so what you invest now really pays off tomorrow. And then it pays off next week. And then it pays off in, like I said, 10 years. And just making that step, that day-to-day step to be better and to do something that's challenging to you. But the cool thing about distance running is almost everyone can get better at it. You know, not everyone can be Kipchoge and run sub 2 hours for a marathon, but everyone can be better tomorrow than they were today. And I think that's something I really learned with running, that nobody's goals, or, and this parallels to life, nobody's goals or aspirations are any better, more important than somebody else's if you're getting better and you're working on yourself and you know, pursuing your dream or your goals. And whether that's to run 10 minutes tomorrow, or whether that's to run, you know, at the Olympic trials, whatever that might be, I think it's special and cool that you can all share that, you know, that feeling and that aspiration.
Yeah, no, that's remarkable. And that's very well said. And it's been neat to see your progress. And yeah, the 2 hour mile. What did you run your marathon in this past time when you finished 21st at the trials?
I think this is bad. I don't even know my time. It was 2:36. My PR is 2:31, which I ran in Houston. At the trials, I actually had to walk at the end because I had to go to the bathroom. So part of, you know, running the marathon.
Yeah.
Anybody that runs will know that. But
yeah, when you're out there for that period of time, I mean, all of the physical and mental challenges creep in. So 2:31 is your PR. So what is that pace per mile? I'm
5:41, I think. So what's pretty cool.
That's
it? Yeah, that's it. So we PR'd. I say we. I always include Coach Phillips in my accomplishments. We PR'd in my half marathon in January this year, and I ran. Not trying to brag on myself, but I ran 5:31 per mile pace for the half marathon. And what's really cool is that was faster than what my 2 mile pace was in high school. So pretty cool how training can take you places you didn't even think were possible.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'll ever be able to accomplish 5:31, maybe in three laps instead of 4. But you've had a remarkable career. You know, you're humble, you know, but you're an amazing runner. You're doing it professionally, one of the top ranked female runners in the world. And so we're all so proud of you. And it's been so neat to see you grow and develop, and Coach Phillips, you know, working alongside you in that, and just how much of a joy it is to work with Jacob on a day-to-day basis, and now get to work with you, and seeing you all, you know, under Jacob's leadership, but also what you've been able to do with your leadership and just growing this program. I mean, 12 or 13 straight conference championships, you know, going back to the Heartland Conference, on the men's side, 6 or 7 conference championships in about 12 or 13 years. So it's such a storied program, and it's been neat to see how you've played a huge part in that as a student athlete, and now as a coach, being able to use your experiences both in your professional running and as a student athlete to have an impact. One of the closing questions here, or in closing, you look back to your time maybe as a junior, senior in high school, and those are the student athletes that y'all are recruiting. Those are the conversations that you're having on a weekly basis with prospective students. But as you think back to when you were 16, 17, 18, and how fast time flies when you go through college, and now where you're at now, you look back, it was just the blink of an eye. What advice would you have to offer prospective students considering DBU, whether that's a traditional student or a student athlete? Just in general, what advice would you have to offer them as they are trying to decide, one, on their college choice, but as they get into college and how quick that goes by, and how quickly they will be into the real world? What advice would you have to offer them?
Yeah, so I think I have my perspective on that has changed because I'm in a role where I recruit now. And so I talk to a lot of 17, 18-year-olds, and I've gotten to see our team now and the wonderful human beings that we have that I get to work with every day, and kind of looking on my story through that and just kind of comparing that, not in a comparison way, but just kind of being able to see both sides of that and what it looks like coaching someone and being underneath. But it goes by really fast, as you said. And the best part of DBU and the best part of what our student athletes experience now is really, the process in each other. I think that those relationships that you build along the way and the people that you get to meet and the experiences you get to have, those are every bit as special as, racing at the World Championships or racing, at the trials. Like, those are the process is what's really made it special. I know that's a little bit cliche, but, and that process includes a lot of not so glamorous times too, and having faith that that's going to work out. And at DBU particularly, you've got a great support system that reminds you of that and teaches you that and builds you up in that when you're not, because there's times when you're not running your best or you're not competing your best, but knowing that you're not just a runner or a basketball player or baseball player, whatever that might be, that's not your identity. And DBU does a really good job of investing in me as a student athlete. And I know we try to do that with our current athletes, that there's so much more than just an athlete. And so I guess kind of all that put together, you're just enjoying the process and knowing that there's going to be phases to that. And there's going to be days where you're been over, you couldn't do what you were asked to do, but that was what you were called to try to do that day. And kind of the last thought that I've got is, striving for perfection is pretty important. And I think, the best athletes and most successful people do that. And I think you've got to be wired a little bit differently to be super successful. I mean, the Michael Jordan documentary right now, like that's a perfect example. You've got to be wired a little differently to have success. But I think as a Christian, like it's really important to align that perfection with Christ and not for your sake of being perfect on your own. And I think that really, that's probably one of the best advices that I can give is to have that standard, but it's okay if you fall short of that because Jesus is there to kind of make up the difference. And it's not really about you, it's about the people and the process.
Yeah, I got the chills just by listening to your response. I mean, you couldn't have said that any better. And that's, DBU had a similar impact on my life, and the Lord grabbed a hold of my heart and has kept me here. But the journey, the process, the adversities, obstacles, challenges that we overcome, but we do that together under the banner of Christ. And we say Christ-centered championship athletics. And the Christ-centered part is everything that we are and where our identity is. But the championship piece to that is what we're trying to accomplish for the glory of the Lord and to use our platform to spread his name and share the love of Christ. And so you've been a model of that. You've been a model student athlete, a Hall of Famer, inducted into the Heartland Conference Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. and certainly a Hall of Famer in all of our books here at DBU. Kelsey, thank you so much for joining us on this second edition of Patriot Conversations, brought to you by Raising Canes. It was a fun conversation, and wish you nothing but the best in your training out there in Arizona and as you recruit future Patriots to DBU.
Thank you, Connor. It's super fun.
Absolutely. Well, have a great day.